Glenn Quagmire. The legend, the lech, the mystery millionaire. Quagmire has always been Quahog's most outrageous resident. A 61-year-old airline pilot by day and shameless ladies' man by night.
Sorry I can't drive you to work. I gotta go sit in my den until you leave.
Oh, that's okay.
But while we've been laughing and cringing at his giggity antics,
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah.
one question has lingered in the air like the scent of cheap cologne. Just how rich is this guy? Is Quagmire secretly rolling in cash from his high-flying career and side hustles? Or is he one extravagant evening at the Drunken Clam away from bankruptcy? Today, in an absurdly over-researched deep dive that no one asked for, except you, dear viewer, and we love you for it, we're uncovering what's the true net worth of Glenn Quagmire. Let's set the scene. Quagmire lives at 29 Spooner Street, right next door to the Griffins.
This is the largest high-performance ceramic cooker available, Peter. NSF certified.
Ah, yeah, cool. I'm starving. When do we fire this thing up?
Fire this thing up? Get a load of this guy.
On the outside, his place looks like a normal suburban house. On the inside, it's a 1960s time capsule of bachelor pad luxury, complete with leopard print couches, heart-shaped hot tubs, and probably a disinfectant fogger in every room. This guy has a revolving door of dates and a lifestyle that screams expensive and maybe unsanitary. He's got a vintage car, endless leisure time for extracurriculars, and the uncanny ability to bounce back from career upheavals and even prison sentences. We'll get to that.
I don't want to go to jail, but I really want to take credit.
Quagmire, I'm afraid you're under arrest for statutory rape.
So, how does Quagmire fund all this? Curiosity loop number 1. Commercial pilots can make good money, but Quagmire's spending habits are wild. Does his airline paycheck alone bankroll an upscale love den?
Oh, Amelie, Noel, I have a 48-hour layover in Paris, and I'd love to include you in my horny plans.
Oui, oui.
Yeah, on me. That's what I was hoping for. Oh, this is going to be a great weekend.
And endless tropical vacations? Or does he have hidden income, investments, or very sketchy side gigs? By the end of this video, we'll tally his legitimate earnings, illicit earnings, crazy expenses, condo-sized pharmacy bills, anyone, and financial fallout from legal run-ins. The final number might shock you, or at least make you say, "Oh, right," in that classic Quagmire tone. Giggity.
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah.
Alright, fasten your seatbelts as we dive into Quagmire's finances. What are his income sources? How much does he blow maintaining his giggity lifestyle? And how many times has he nearly gone bankrupt from fines or settlements? Let's break it down, piece by piece. Income sources. First up, the money. You might think Quagmire's rich because he's a commercial airline pilot. And you'd be right, partly. He currently flies for transnational airlines, and with his age and experience as a former Navy ensign, he's likely pulling in around $150,000 a year, assuming Quahog's airline pays well. That's solid, but nowhere near enough to cover his wild lifestyle, especially since his airline has gone on strike before, cutting off that income entirely. So, where else does the money come from? Enter Quagmire's colorful side hustles. Professional stripper, briefly. During an airline strike, Quagmire didn't stay grounded. He became a stripper. In season 15, episode 3, American Gigolo, he stumbled into a bachelorette party and found himself earning piles of cash mid-strip. It wasn't a long term, but enough to show Quagmire's knack for turning anything into income. Gigolo services. Naturally, that gig escalated fast. When clubgoers offered more than just lap dance money, Quagmire went full giggity giggity gigolo. He started making house calls, business boomed, and Peter Griffin even stepped in as his makeshift pimp. Because of course he did. Quagmire's services brought in serious untaxed cash, likely around $50,000 a year during that chapter. Not bad for a guy who'd probably do it for free anyway.
Quagmire, I didn't know you were a male stripper.
I wasn't. Not until the strike, anyway. I've been out of work for 3 weeks. I'm out of money. I had to do something. God, I'm so embarrassed.
Why? Stripping is a very respectable profession. If it weren't respectable, why would real estate agents go to strip clubs for lunch?
He's right. This is tremendous. Are you banging all these chicks?
Fake doctor and other sketchy gigs, Quagmire has always been, let's say, creatively employed. Whenever there's a chance to meet women or make a quick buck, he somehow finds a way. While he's never officially held a doctor's license, there are more than a few hints that he's posed as one. Remember that van with free mammograms painted on the side? Yeah, that one. Classic Quagmire. Navy pension. Before all the chaos, Quagmire proudly served as an ensign in the US Navy, a fact the show occasionally reminds us of between his less noble hobbies. That service likely left him with a small but steady pension. If we assume he put in a full term, that's roughly $20,000 to $30,000 a year in guaranteed income. Not huge, but for Quagmire, it's guilt-free cash, probably funding things like hot tubs, leather seats, and very questionable vacations. In short, Uncle Sam's paying for his bad decisions. Rental income? Now this one's a stretch. Quagmire's lived at 29 Spooner Street for decades right next to the Griffins. It's a solid house, maybe even paid off, but renting out a room, not a chance. The man values his privacy, especially with the kind of guests he entertains. Sure, a few people have stayed over, but they never last the night, or leave with their dignity. So, while it's tempting to imagine Quagmire as a landlord, the only thing he's leasing is his charm. Short term, no deposit required. So far, Quagmire's annual income looks something like this. And yes, these are rough estimates because our calculator is still sticky from, let's just not ask. Airline pilot salary, $150,000, give or take. Navy pension, $25,000. Gigolo con stripping era, $50,000 untaxed when active. Side gigs and schemes, $10,000. Random windfalls, $10,000. That puts him around $245,000 on a big year, or closer to $175,000 on a quieter one. Solid upper middle class money, enough to fund a wild lifestyle on paper. But Quagmire's life isn't your average bachelor budget. He burns through cash faster than his catchphrases. So, to find his true net worth, we've got to look at the spending. Expenses and lifestyle. If income is the giggity, expenses are the giggity goo, as in where all that gooey cash goes. And for Quagmire, it goes everywhere. 1. The mansion on Spooner Street, Quagmire's home, is both his biggest asset and his biggest expense. From the outside, it's a simple suburban house. Inside, it's a full-blown 1960s bachelor paradise.
Guys, let me out of here!
Now, you said you would do whatever's necessary to help you lose weight.
Please, let me out!
Glenn, is it okay if I stay the night?
Glenn, can we go somewhere and just talk for a minute?
Guys, stop saying things, all right? I will say the things.
Shag carpets, mood lighting, maybe even a rotating bed, because of course, maintenance, brutal. He probably needs professional cleaners and hazmat suits just to keep it livable. Property taxes in Rhode Island, around $8,000 a year. Utilities for a 24/7 hot tub and constant laundry cycles, another $5,000 to $10,000. Repairs, easily $10,000 considering the questionable damage he probably causes. Then there's decor, silk sheets, custom mattresses for athletic performance, and posters of Farrah Fawcett that drop from the ceiling at the push of a button. Add it all up, and you're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 a year just to keep Quagmire's palace in working order. His house might be worth $400,000, but it's also a money pit, both literally and figuratively. 2. Vehicle expenses, from classic Chevy to humiliating Yaris. Quagmire loves his cars like he loves his women, flashy, vintage, and prone to break down if ridden too hard. His pride and joy? It's a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible, cherry red with tail fins, better known as the Love Machine. The license plate Bushman says it all. And in Forefather, we find out exactly why. In Airport 07, strippers literally popped out of the trunk. That car's seen things Detroit never designed for. A pristine Bel Air like that is worth $50,000 plus, but keeping it alive isn't cheap. Between tune-ups, oil changes, suspension fixes, and upholstery cleanings, for obvious reasons, Quagmire probably drops $5,000 a year just on maintenance. 3. Date nights, and afternoons, evenings, and mornings. If there's one thing Quagmire splurges on, it's romance. Well, his version of it. He wines, dines, and sometimes pretends to be a foreign diplomat just to impress. A typical Quagmire date. Roses, $40. Dinner, $150. Gifts, we'd rather not know. That's about $200 per date, and if he averages 2 per week, that's over $20,000 a year, and that's before breakup bills, apology gifts, or escape Ubers. Honestly, $20,000 might be generous. His love budget could easily be double. 4. Health expenses, STDs, shark bites, and regret. Quagmire's body has been through more chaos than Peter's fridge after midnight. The man's practically a medical miracle, immune to everything because, as he once said, "I've got everything already." He's a regular at Dr. Hartman's clinic, burning through cash on STD tests, antibiotics, antivirals, and special shampoos. But the infections are just the start. In Season 16's The Unkindest Cut, Quagmire suffered the unthinkable. A shark bit off his penis. Yes, that happened. He got a transplant from his transgender father, don't ask, and the surgery probably cost tens of thousands. Even with insurance, we're talking deductibles, therapy, and retraining. 5. Legal troubles and fines. If there's a fine to be had, Quagmire's paid it. He's been busted for peeping on Lois, caught in public indecency, and racked up more restraining orders than Brian's exes. Traffic tickets? Probably. Hot teacher day in a school zone? Wouldn't doubt it. Running his old gigolo business likely came with occasional bribes or settlements. And let's not forget the hush money for health inspectors who looked the other way at his home dungeon 17 code violations. On average, Quagmire's dropping $3,000 a year on fines, fees, and creative bribery. It's not huge money, but it's impressive how often he pays it. 6. Personal indulgences and miscellaneous Quagmire isn't exactly a minimalist. The man lives for luxury, or at least the freaky version of it. Wardrobe, from Hawaiian shirts to pilot uniforms to cosplay outfits, yes, he's dressed as Sailor Moon, Quagmire spends big on clothes. Between roleplay costumes and custom-made nonsense, probably even a T-Rex suit, his annual style bills around $5,000. Grooming, that Elvis hair, tanned glow, and sparkling teeth don't maintain themselves. Between spa visits, waxing, and whitening, toss in $2,000 more. Subscriptions. After his infamous internet porn isolation in 2009, Quagmire might have cut down online habits, but he's still got a few memberships somewhere. Maybe VIP passes at local clubs or gentlemen's establishments. Call it $1,000 per year. Travel. He's a pilot, so flying is cheap, but he's taken a few personal trips to Thailand for the culture. Add $5,000 for travel and adult entertainment destinations. Hobbies. Shockingly, Quagmire reads. He's even in a book club. Add a few hundred for books, model planes, and 70s cinema classics. All in all, his personal indulgences cost about $10,000 per year, bringing total spending close to $66,000 to $100,000 annually, depending on how wild the year gets. Now, Quagmire can make up to $200,000 plus on a good year, but when you burn half that on medical bills, legal trouble, and romantic investments, saving's not easy. Some years, he might break even, or worse, go full bankrupt after a bad fling or a lawsuit. The divorce debacle. Quagmire's luckiest financial moment might be the one-time death literally saved him money. His marriage to Joan, the maid Peter won on Wheel of Fortune, ended when she didn't make it out alive. Assets and investments. When calculating net worth, we list all valuable assets. For Quagmire, the big ones are his house, car, and maybe some savings, plus a few unconventional, freaky items knowing him. 1. House, 29 Spooner Street. Quagmire's biggest asset is his longtime home. He's lived there since the 80s or 90s, likely mortgage-free. A similar house in a Rhode Island suburb would go for around $400,000, though the wear and tear and questionable stains might lower that. Still, with no mortgage, that's about $350,000 to $400,000 in equity, making it the bulk of his wealth, unless a lawsuit or divorce wipes it out. 2. Vehicles. Quagmire's classic 57 Chevy Bel Air once added about $50,000 to his assets, but the show implies he traded it for a Toyota Yaris worth around $18,000, likely pocketing $20,000 in cash. Assuming that's true, his total vehicle assets are roughly $35,000. 3. Savings and investments. He's not exactly a financial planner, but as a veteran pilot, Quagmire likely has a 401k worth around $200,000. Add maybe $50,000 in cash savings, probably hidden behind a pinup painting, and that rounds out his liquid assets.
Stewie? Mr. Quagmire? Terrence?
Not bad for a guy whose idea of planning ahead is packing extra protection. 4. Crypto, or fake crypto. It's easy to imagine Quagmire falling for adult-themed crypto schemes. Maybe he bought into Sexcoin, Porn Token, or Hump Chain thinking, Giggity, digital gold, only to lose a few grand when it all crashed. Realistically, he's down about minus $5,000 from shady, pump, and dump coins. Holding Bitcoin long-term? Not a chance. He'd panic sell to fund a date. 5. Collectibles and personal property. Quagmire's possessions may not scream investment, but some could be worth something. Vintage adult magazines, rare Playboy issues, or odd souvenirs from his travels. Add in furniture, electronics, and pilot memorabilia, and his personal property might total around $20,000 to $25,000. 6. Intellectual property. And finally, Giggity. If Quagmire got paid every time someone said it, he'd be richer than Elon Musk. Unfortunately, it's just his catchphrase, not a trademark. He's no songwriter, inventor, or tech entrepreneur. Unless you count that one time he rigged a crossbow to shoot bras across the room. So, no royalties, no patents, and no hidden empire of Quagmire branded products. 6. Hidden stashes and liabilities. Hidden cash. Knowing Quagmire, you'd expect a secret stash somewhere, maybe a suitcase of getaway money buried under his tiki bar. But whenever trouble hits, he calls Peter or Joe instead of disappearing. So, no real secret fortune here. Maybe a few $100 tucked in a drawer. Tops. Assets. Approx. Home equity, $400,000. Vehicles plus cash, $35,000 401k, $200,000 savings, $50,000 collectibles and property, $20,000. Miscellaneous, memorabilia, $5,000 crypto, negligible or negative, total around $700,000 in assets. Not bad for a guy who once lived in a van with free mammograms on the side. Net worth. After small debts, Quagmire's sitting around $650,000. Decent money, even if half goes to dates, bail, and bad decisions. So what does Quagmire actually owe? Probably not much, maybe a small home loan or a lingering credit card balance. Let's estimate around $50,000 in total debt, just to be safe. If he's surprisingly careful with money, unlikely, that number could even be zero. After subtracting that from his assets, $710,000, his net worth lands around $660,000, solidly upper middle class, mostly thanks to his house and retirement savings. But that number doesn't tell the full story. Quagmire's past is packed with potential disasters, close calls with lawsuits, sketchy business ventures, and near misses with criminal charges. Any of those could have cost him a fortune, or still could. So before we crown him as financially stable, we need to talk about the darker side of his balance sheet. The criminal deductions, the fines, legal bills, and chaos that come with living life the Quagmire way.
You know, if you had any balls, you'd put that gun down and we could settle this like men.
Suit yourself, man!
Criminal deductions. Here's where Quagmire's finances take a nosedive. From funny money to bail money. Over the years, he's had enough legal trouble to bankrupt most people. 1. The statutory rape trial. In Quagmire's mom, he hooked up with a girl who lied about her age, landing him in court for statutory rape. Joe arrested him, and Quagmire faced up to 20 years in prison. Even before the trial, that meant lawyer fees and bail. A decent defense attorney alone could cost $10,000 to $15,000 plus another $5,000 in bail payments. Luckily for him, the case got resolved when his mom seduced the judge. Seriously. That stunt saved him millions in lost income and lawsuits, but he still likely dropped around $20,000 total in legal costs. Quagmire dodged financial annihilation, it's barely. 2. Murder and mayhem. In Screams of Silence, the story of Brenda Q, Quagmire, Peter, and Joe straight up murder. Brenda's abusive boyfriend Jeff and cover it up. Joe even forges a fake note to close the case. Legally, Quagmire walks away clean. No trial, no fines, no record. But if that secret ever surfaced, he'd lose everything to legal fees, damages, and life imprisonment. For now, though, $0 spent, but he's sitting on a ticking financial nuke. Criminal deductions, Part 2. 3. The American Gig-Olo fallout. During the pilot strike, Quagmire briefly became a male escort, with Peter acting as his pimp. It actually made him money short-term, but if caught, he could have faced a $1,000 fine and jail time for solicitation. Luckily, he quit before police got involved. No actual charges, no fines, just trauma and exhaustion. Peter took a 20% pimp tax, but we already counted that under his income. 4. Divorce and alimony. Quagmire somehow dodged every costly breakup bullet. His quick marriage to Charmisi, the Giggity wife, ended without alimony, and Joan's death, Quagmire's Quagmire, spared him any divorce costs. Apart from maybe funeral expenses, likely covered by Peter, Quagmire spent $0 on exes. His best financial strategy? Never stay married long enough to pay alimony. 5. Minor fines and suspensions. Quagmire's had plenty of small run-ins, speeding tickets, public indecency, even losing his license after too many violations. These are pocket change penalties compared to his major scandals, so we'll roll them into the few thousand he already spends yearly on legal mishaps. 6. Hush money and blackmail. If anyone's blackmail material, it's Quagmire. But somehow, he's always the one getting away clean. 7. Collateral damage. Peter's endless battles with the giant chicken have trashed Quahog more than once. If Quagmire's house or car got hit in the chaos, he probably filed insurance claims, paying a few thousand in deductibles. Nothing catastrophic, just another day in Quahog. 8. Reputation loss and job suspension. Remember when Peter's stupidity literally got Quagmire fired? In Airport 2007, Peter sucked jet fuel out of Quagmire's plane, causing a crash landing and naturally a firing. For a while, Quagmire was jobless. No salary, no perks, just shame and bills. Assuming his airline job paid about $10,000 a month, that brief unemployment gap likely cost him around that amount. Add possible retraining fees, union dues, and a reinstatement hearing, and the total career hiccup sits comfortably near $10,000 to $12,000. Luckily, he later saved a plane mid-crisis, again thanks to Griffin Chaos, and got rehired. Quagmire-style redemption. Reality check. His legal fallout isn't as costly as you'd expect. When we add up everything, minor fines, that courtroom fiasco, brief unemployment, and various Giggity-related infractions, the total comes to about $35,000 in real, measurable deductions. That's shockingly low for someone whose lifestyle screams class action lawsuit waiting to happen. But Quagmire's biggest threat isn't what he's already paid, it's what he could owe if his skeletons ever crawl out of the crawl space. Imagine an STD class action suit, or the IRS discovering his gigolo income, or some long-lost kid filing for college tuition. One scandal, and Quagmire's finances could implode faster than Peter through a buffet line. Net worth breakdown, post-deductions, assets, approximately $710,000, liabilities, approximately $50,000 debt, plus $35,000 legal and financial hits, equals approximately $625,000 net worth. To keep it clean, we'll round down and call it about $600,000. So what's his real worth? Financially, around $600,000. Morally, bankrupt. Spiritually, priceless. And probably contagious. Money comes and goes, but Giggity is forever.